Hey everyone, have you ever gotten that icky feeling that the internet's kind of watching you a little too closely?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's a little creepy.
imagine that times like 1,000, because today we're going deep on this story of Hannah Grundy.
Oh, wow.
She's a school teacher from Sydney, Australia, and her life was totally flipped upside down by something called a deepfake.
It's disturbing, isn't it?
Yeah.
This whole area where artificial intelligence meets, human cruelty.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it more and more, these cases where images are manipulated without consent
Right.
to create these really realistic but totally fake videos.
And that's what we're talking about, like deepfake pornography and even violent threats.
Uh-huh.
Her personal information was all over this website called The Destruction of Hannah.
Wow.
It's insane.
Awful.
And it was orchestrated by someone that she thought she could trust.
You know what's especially chilling about this is the level of just psychological manipulation.
Yeah.
It wasn't just hosting this content, it was encouraging people to participate.
Oh, really?
There was a poll on the site where people could vote on different ways to abuse her.
Oh, my gosh.
It was just designed to inflict maximum damage.
Yeah, and that's what makes this deep dive so important.
Right.
We're going way beyond just the headlines and,
Yeah.
exploring this human impact of technology gone wrong.
It's a big one.
We've got news articles.
Yeah.
We have court documents.
Okay.
And even statements from other victims in this case.
So these sources, they really paint a clear picture of what happened.
Yeah.
For anyone listening who isn't super familiar with this term,
Uh-huh.
a deep fake is basically a video that's manipulated
Right.
using AI to make someone appear to be doing something they never did.
Wow.
In this case, her face was superimposed on the bodies of actresses in pornographic videos.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine just seeing yourself
I can't even
in
imagine.
that situation,
Right.
knowing it's not real, but feeling totally powerless to stop it.
It's
It's rough.
it's horrifying. Yeah. And the perpetrator was someone Hannah considered a close friend from
Wow.
university.
Oh, wow.
His name is Andrew Haler.
Wow.
And this betrayal just adds another layer of trauma to this
It's awful.
horrible situation.
It's a huge reminder that, in the digital age,
Mm-hmm.
the people we trust with our images,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's on social media or personal photos,
Right.
they hold so much power.
Yeah.
And as this tech gets, more sophisticated,
Yeah.
and easier to get a hold of,
Mm-hmm.
the potential for abuse just explodes.
Yeah, Hannah and her partner, Chris,
Right.
they were completely blindsided.
Oh, wow.
They actually took matters into their own hands.
Really?
They were scouring this website,
Wow.
looking for clues, trying to identify other victims,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately trying to track down the person who did this.
That's amazing.
I know.
It's commendable,
Yeah.
but it also kind of speaks to a larger problem.
What's that?
This lack of preparedness within law enforcement to handle these kinds of crimes. Hannah and Chris basically became detectives
Yeah.
out of desperation.
They had to.
It's rough.
And even when they went to the police,
Right.
they were met with so much skepticism and victim blaming.
Oh, no.
It was like the authorities couldn't even understand the severity of what happened or
Right.
how deeply this impacted Hannah.
It's sad. That's not uncommon, though.
Really?
There's this disconnect between how fast tech is changing
Mm-hmm.
and the ability of, police to keep up.
To understand it.
Yeah, and to actually investigate it
Yeah.
effectively.
And to make matters worse.
Yeah.
At the time in Australia,
Right.
there weren't any specific laws against deepfake pornography.
Wow.
So they had to rely on this general menacing charge,
Interesting.
which didn't even come close to covering the extent of what she went through.
That's a huge problem, right?
Yeah.
We need laws that actually address this.
Totally.
Other countries have started enacting these laws,
Yeah.
recognizing the unique harm that deepfakes cause.
Right.
And Australia actually did follow suit after Hannah's case.
Oh.
But this legal battle came at a huge cost.
Yeah, how much are we talking?
Hannah and Chris spent over $20,000
Wow.
on lawyers and digital forensics.
Oh my God.
A huge burden on top of everything else.
Yeah.
This really shows you the lack of support for victims.
Right.
They're dealing with the trauma,
Yeah.
but they're also left to navigate this complex legal system
Right.
and pay all this money.
With no support.
It's a mess.
So we've established that the creation and distribution of this content was just this horrific betrayal.
Awful.
But let's talk about the impact on Hannah and the other victims.
Yeah.
What kind of lasting effects did this have on their lives?
Huge effects.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
Okay.
I mean, the psychological toll is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Victims, they often experience such intense feelings of shame and anxiety and fear.
It's got to be just completely debilitating.
It really is.
Yeah.
It can completely shatter your sense of self and security,
Right.
your sense of who you are.
Yet how you see yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Hannah talks about feeling like a prisoner in her own home,
Oh.
constantly looking over her shoulder,
Yeah.
afraid to even go out in public.
It's scary.
And she even had trouble sleeping,
Yeah, I bet.
haunted by these images,
Right.
And she knows that they're not real,
Right.
but she can't escape that feeling of violation.
It's awful. And, it wasn't just her.
Oh, right. There are others?
The website targeted dozens of women.
Wow.
And the ripple effects of this crime were just massive.
So many people.
One of the things that really got to me
Yeah.
was a statement from another victim,
Uh,
Jessica Stewart.
okay.
She talked about how this experience just totally destroyed her trust in people,
Oh, wow.
made it almost impossible to form new relationships.
That's heartbreaking.
It's so sad to have that trust shattered like that.
Especially by someone you considered a friend.
I know, it's awful.
Like, how do you ever really come back from that?
It's incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
And it just shows you the long-lasting damage
Yeah, for sure.
that these types of attacks can inflict.
And it doesn't just go away when the perpetrator is caught?
Well, not at all.
Right.
The emotional scars,
Yeah.
they can last for years.
Wow.
People need therapy
Yeah.
and support to heal.
Well, in this case, at least there was some justice.
Oh, good.
Andy Haler was eventually sentenced to 9 years in jail.
Wow. That's got to be some kind of record.
I think so, right?
For a deepfake crime.
I mean, a long time.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
It was a landmark decision.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
The judge, she recognized how serious these crimes were.
Yeah.
And she made it clear that this kind of abuse wouldn't be tolerated.
Good for her.
She acknowledged the horrible impact it had on the victims.
Yeah.
And she really emphasized that this wasn't just some, harmless prank.
Right.
This was calculated cruelty
Yeah.
with real consequences.
So Hannah's case set a precedent
Yeah, it's
for
fun.
how these crimes are prosecuted in Australia.
Right.
But what about the bigger picture?
Well, that's a good question.
Is the legal system, actually catching up to all this?
I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag.
Okay.
Some countries like the UK
Uh-huh.
have introduced specific laws against deepfakes,
Okay.
recognizing, the unique harm they cause.
Right.
But others are still relying on, existing laws,
Okay.
like defamation or harassment.
Right.
And those don't always really address the nuances of this.
Yeah, and it's not just pornography anymore, is it?
No, not at all.
We're seeing deepfakes used for all kinds of bad stuff,
Yeah, it's true.
like spreading political misinformation or
Mm.
even manipulating financial markets.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah, the potential for misuse is huge,
Yeah.
and it's constantly evolving.
It's kind of scary.
There were even reports recently
Really?
of schoolboys
Uh-huh.
using this tech to create nude images of their classmates.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's chilling.
That's awful.
It really shows you that this technology is becoming so much more accessible.
Yeah.
The barriers to entry are getting lower and lower.
So how do we even combat this?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
It feels like we're constantly playing catch-up,
It does, doesn't it?
trying to stay ahead of the bad guys.
It's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no easy answer.
Okay.
There's no one solution.
Right.
We need a multi-pronged approach. It is a challenge, but the stakes are really high.
Okay. So where do we even begin?
Right. I mean, is
Yeah.
it all about just making stricter laws? Or is there something deeper we need to address?
Yeah.
Well, legislation is definitely a part of it.
Okay.
We need clear laws
Uh-huh.
that say you can't use deep fakes to hurt people.
Right.
And we have to make sure those laws are enforced. But it can't just be about punishing people after they've done something bad.
Right.
It's got to be about stopping it from happening in the first place.
So what, prevention?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What if we had some kind of deepfake police
Oh, wow.
constantly patrolling the internet?
That's a cool thought.
Right. Keeping an eye out for this stuff.
A deepfake detection squad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not a whole squad. But we do need to put more money
Okay.
into research
Uh-huh.
and developing technology that can help us identify deepfakes.
That makes sense.
There's some really promising stuff out there.
Like what?
Using things like digital watermarking
Oh, wow.
and even blockchain
Interesting.
to prove that images and videos are real.
So basically we're talking about like building protections into the tech itself.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of like an antidote to the poison.
I like that.
But you know what? Along with the tech stuff,
Yeah.
we also have to focus on education.
Interesting.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Those people out there can't even tell if a video is a deep fake or not,
Yeah, that's true.
let alone grasp how this technology can impact society.
That's a good point.
Right.
I mean, I like to think I'm pretty tech savvy,
Yeah.
but even I have trouble sometimes telling what's real and what's fake.
It's tough.
So what's the answer then? Like, should we have deep fake awareness classes in schools?
Maybe not mandatory classes,
Okay.
but yeah, we got to start teaching kids
Uh-huh.
about digital literacy.
Oh, okay.
You know, how to look at information online and think critically,
Yeah.
how to spot signs of manipulation,
Yay.
and how to protect themselves from becoming victims.
So it's kind of a three-pronged attack.
Yeah.
Strong laws,
Uh,
tech safeguards,
Yeah.
and widespread digital literacy.
that's it.
Sounds like a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
But it's important.
Okay.
We're talking about protecting people,
Uh-huh.
safeguarding our democracy,
Wow.
and making sure that truth still means something online.
This is getting kind of intense. Yeah. We started this whole thing talking about Hannah's experience.
Right.
But this goes way beyond just one case.
Absolutely. This is a global issue.
It's scary.
Hannah's story is a reminder
Yeah.
of how much deepfakes can hurt people.
Yeah.
But it's also a wake-up call.
Right.
We can't just sit around and wait for the next bad thing to happen.
Yeah, we have to do something.
We have to be proactive.
Okay.
We need to stay informed.
Uh-huh.
And we got to demand better
Yeah.
from our governments and the tech companies.
I agree with that.
You know, it's up to all of us
Yeah.
to protect ourselves and each other.
This has been a really heavy deep dive.
It has been a lot to process.
Super eye-opening.
For sure.
I think we all learned a lot today.
I hope so.
So thanks everyone for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
As we explored this complex world of deepfakes and betrayal.
And the fight for truth online.
Yeah. This is definitely something to think about.
Absolutely.
Stay safe out there, everybody.
Be careful what you share.